It's time for RealAg Radio on Rural Radio Channel 147 on Sirius XM. RealAg Radio and RealAgriculture.com is your home for insight and analysis of the issues that are impacting your farm business. Let's get real and get connected with RealAg Radio.
Well, hello and welcome to RealAg Radio here on Rural Radio Channel 147. It is Thursday, May 9th, and Thursday is all about farmers. It is the Farmer Rapid Fire, brought to you by Pioneer Seeds Canada, and I am Lyndsey Smith, your host for today. Super excited with the lineup we've got. We're going to start on the East Coast with Alicia King. We've got Simon Ellis out of Manitoba. We have Jeff Harrison out of Ontario, and we've got Devon Walker out of Saskatchewan. And then, stick around for the end of the show, I've got John Seliga out of Ontario. He's based near London, and we're going to talk about having some patience. This time of year seems to be in relatively short supply. Okay, without further ado, we're going to start on the East Coast as promised with Alicia King. Welcome here, Alicia. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm very excited that we get to start on the very east of Canada. We don't usually get to. It's pretty exciting. But in starting on the East Coast, that also means that I have to master how I say your town name. So tell me again, Antigonish? Am I saying it right?
Antigonish, yes.
Antigonish.
Yep.
Okay, I like it. Antigonish. I can learn. All right. So we haven't had you on the rapid fire in a little while. So how did the winter go? How has your spring been?
Well, winter was winter. Winter started off fairly quiet. We didn't have we had some snow cover. We had some weather. We thought that we were getting off fairly easy. Because we had come in with quite a bit of moisture from the fall. And then lo and behold, the real winter storm hit. So we had 3 solid days of snow and digging out for 2 more days after that. And, we had like 8 to 9 foot drifts between barns and yards. And yeah, so winter happened and it melted, and now we're seeing life of spring. So it's all good.
It was the pictures and the video and the social media of that storm. Like, honestly, just how does one dig out from such a thing? Like, it was really incredible.
It was incredible. So actually, our oldest daughter is studying in Scotland right now, and when we kept sending her videos, she was like, "But where's it all going? Like,
yes,
is
like,
this a video from before?"
Yeah.
Right. So I mean, as you know, and anybody listening, farmers usually have vast areas. So we had to snow blow out parts of fields in order to pile the snow that was coming out of our cattle yards and stuff like that. So, we just kept moving one bucket load, one shovel load, one step at a time. And, I was very happy that we had everybody around home that we had that weekend. But, it was intense. It was intense. And the only ones that were happy, I think, were the chickens, because they were indoors and they didn't see any problem with it. So,
well, and that's my next question, is how the livestock fared. But for anybody inside, not a huge deal.
No. And the sheep and the cattle, we had locked the sheep in the night before, so that was good, because they never would have. It was intense. And the cattle, they water in in the woods over the winter, and they shelter in the woods over the winter, but they feed up in the barnyard. So when that weather started, they stayed in the yard, and we had to open water bowls in the yard and stuff like that. And like I say, we were about 3 days cleaning out just in the cow yards alone. We just kind of kept measuring it by if they were feeding through the feeder or over the tops of the feeder, because there was just that much snow. But they looked at us like we were crazy, and as we were. But no, they all made out just fine. I think the happiest critter around were the dogs. They just kept running through it and thought it was a great white playful play yard.
So now,
but now we've got spring. So that's behind us.
but did it make for a very sloppy mess that has continued, or have you, for the most part, returned to normalcy?
No, for the most part, we've returned to normal. It stayed pretty frozen for a little while after that. So I mean, we had the regular spring mud, but things have dried up a fair bit now. We're on the fields, and manure is getting spread, and fertilizers on order, and all of those things. All those inputs are coming. So yeah, manure is pretty well done. So that's always a good time when that gets finished. So, and it is spring. The birds are starting to come back, the spring birds. We've got some barn swallows that usually like to make their way back. All the buds are starting to come out. The grass is green, and we've had sunshine the last couple of days. We've got some rain in the forecast, but that's what we want. So
I think you might be the
we
luckiest
just don't want
ones.
lots of it.
Yeah, I think you might be the
we
lucky
don't want
ones.
lots of it.
Yeah, in
Yeah.
that, I think most of us are dealing with maybe now. Granted, there's areas that are very welcoming of this moisture, but you might have the better of the seeding and planting window than maybe anybody else.
Well, we have to be careful what we wish for as farmers. We always want the weather to be just exactly what it is that we want. And right now, we're just keeping our fingers crossed, because things are looking like they should for the first part of May around here. So
all right,
that's hopeful.
We'll roll with it.
Yeah.
Now, my question this week, so I'm very glad to hear that, because not everybody has such glowing reviews of the first week of May. But my question this week is one that actually has to do with our consumers, with our customers, and sort of inspired by some conversations I had this week about, advancements that have been made on the farm, on how the farm looks different than it did 30, 40, 50 years ago. And that's a good thing, but it isn't always necessarily seen as a good thing, maybe by our consumers. And so my question to farmers this week for the rapid fire is, if you could communicate, if you had a chance to share one thing that you wish people knew about your farm specifically, what's one thing you wish consumers or your customers understood about your farm?
How much we care. I think that's the very first piece. I'm sure if you asked, even my husband or one of our children, they may have a different answer, but I think it would all come back. It would come full circle. One of the big things, we do a lot of direct marketing as well. And one of the big things that we always hear from our customers is, whatever the product is, if it's our eggs or our meat or whatever, they always say, it tastes so good. What do you do differently? And I always say that, we care about everything right up until the end. Like, whether it's something that we're taking to market as to butcher, or our hens laying eggs, the day that we've got new chicks that are going to be arriving tomorrow for our meat birds. And everything has its place, but everything is taken care of and happy. We do the best that we can do to offer them the best life, because in turn, what they're giving us is so important. So I think I would really always want to iterate that as farmers, we care.
You did mention getting new chicks tomorrow. Is that one of your favorite days of the year? Because for several hours, they're the most adorable things.
Well, I don't know. It's very hard to beat a brand new baby lamb.
That's true. Yeah.
Spring is definitely a very happy time on the farm. With our new lambs, it's an opportunity for us to have people out to the farm to see what it is that we do and how we do it. So a fluffy chick is very cute, but like you say, it's very short-lived.
Yes.
But I'm not sure that you can beat the softness and the happiness of those new baby lambs when they start bouncing and jumping and leaping and understanding that they have 4 feet that work. So it's a tough one.
Yep. It's a good trade-off. I will say that is my favorite, when the lambs do the all 4-foot jump. Yep. When they learn how to do that, it is, and they start their lamb races while mom's eating. There's nothing better. Like it's
No,
pure
and-
entertainment and pure joy. Wonderful. All right,
Yeah.
Alicia, thank you so much. Good luck with the week ahead. It sounds like you're
Thank
busy.
you.
It sounds like Mother Nature is smiling on you, so I'm glad for that. And thanks so much for giving us your time this week.
Excellent. Thank you. Take care. And when you come to Nova Scotia, we will welcome you at 6 Maples Farm in Antigonish.
Oh, I'm so excited. Okay, thank you. All right, we are going to take a quick break here from the Farmer Rapid Fire, brought to you by Pioneer Seeds Canada, and we'll head to my now home province of Ontario to talk to Jeff Harrison. Just a quick reminder, if you've got any feedback on today's show, give us a call. 1-855-776-6147. Of course, you can find us across social media at Real Agriculture, and you can always send me an email. That's lsmith@realagriculture.com. We'd love to hear from you. We love feedback on the show, story ideas, or maybe you want to join the Farmer Rapid Fire. All right, let's take a quick break, and I'll be back with more right after this.
Choose Viatude fungicide and unleash best-in-class sclerotinia protection in canola and premium protection against white mold in soybeans. Viatude contains a powerful premix of Onmira Active and prothioconazole. This unique combo delivers high-performance disease control, crop safety, mix compatibility, resistance management, and advanced mobility for excellent coverage and superior plant protection. Choose Viatude fungicide for stronger, more vigorous crops.
It's now time for a product spotlight, joined right now by the CEO of Seeds Canada, Barry Sempt. We're going to talk about a very important topic, and that is seed regulatory modernization. What exactly is this process that the industry has been so focused on?
The seed industry and seed development have a number of regulations that the seed industry must adhere to. A lot of these regulations were set into place over 100 years ago.
Why should farmers care?
When I got this job as CEO, farmers that I got to know had a number of messages to me. One was, we need access to new technology. We need reasonable cost to seed. Farmers know that there's a significant cost to bringing a variety to the market, but that had to be kept into check. They wanted competition within the seed industry. So those are three issues that farmers need to be they are concerned about and need to be concerned as this SRM process continues.
Welcome back to the Farmer Rapid Fire here on Thursday, May 9th. I am your host, Lyndsey Smith, and as always, this show is brought to you by Pioneer Seeds Canada. We hop from the East Coast to Ontario and to, well, Quinte West, Belleville, and we've got Jeff Harrison on the line. Jeff, how are you?
Great, Lyndsey. Good to talk to you. And you know what? We affectionately call it the Middle East. It's kind of the tough unknown part of agriculture in the Middle Eastern part of the province.
Well, sometimes Belleville it does get called Eastern Ontario, but I remind people in Southern Ontario that there's quite a bit of Ontario after Belleville to the east.
Yeah. There's a big stretch, yes.
There is. There is. All right. Now, are you then in this stop-start mode that plenty of us are in with this rainfall, or how do things look where you are?
It's exactly that, Lyndsey. You know what? It reminds me a lot of winter wheat harvest last summer, and I joke harvesting winter wheat is a lot like going to kindergarten. We harvest on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and every other Fridays, and it's beginning to be like that for planting crops this spring. We get a rain, and then we wait for it to dry and get a little bit more done and go again, and yeah, that's what we're doing.
Yeah, that's right. Now, have you got much in the ground already, or is it just trying to get the field work done? Because I know around here it's been a lot of field work, not a lot of planting.
Yeah, well, you know what? Right where I farm, just north of Trenton, right at the Trent River, east of the Trent River, gets into some heavy clay, and they need heat and some nice lengths of dry spells to be able to get on their land. West of the Trent River, we have some rolling hills and some sand, so we're able to get some work done here and there. We do have a lot of fertilizer spread. We have about say a third of our corn in, so we're pretty blessed compared to a lot of people in Ontario. And we just started soybeans yesterday, and we got 100 acres in yesterday. So, yeah, we got something done, and it's better than nothing. But I would like to be just progressing. I don't know. It's just in a farmer's nature to try and be productive and efficient and get it done.
Yeah, no, I hear you. And so forecast-wise, It doesn't look much better for us. And we're not that far apart, but you are closer to a large body of water than I am. So I would imagine that has an impact. What do you think the next week looks like for you based on the weather?
Well, I guess if we don't get a lot today, like we did get about a third of an inch this morning, maybe we might get another sandfield in tomorrow. But then it does look pretty imminent for Friday, Saturday, and through the weekend next week. So, yeah, it's I don't know. Let's just stay positive and hope we get a break. Because you know what? Just like us, humans, Mother Nature's wrong once in a while, too. So Let's hope the forecast.
Let's hope it's wrong. Why not? We can. We're still going to call it early yet. Like we're in the thick of things, but we're not going to panic yet. So we're going to hope that things straighten out next week. Are you doing anything new on the farm this year? Changing anything up?
Well, I guess one thing that is different, I have two sons that, my two youngest sons, I have three sons. My two youngest sons are home from university and college, and this is the first spring that I've had them around all spring to help, which from a dad's point of view, it's I'm proud and happy and stressed and worried and all of the emotions. You don't want anyone to get hurt on your farm, but you're especially concerned about younger people on the farm that are learning and but still proud to watch So last night we planted beans till midnight, and my one son was planting, my other son was rolling right behind it, and I had a corn planter that electrical wire had broken, so I was sad and feeling my sorrow in my truck watching my two sons work, but pretty proud. So yeah, just I know that's not maybe agronomic or something scientifically new on our farm, but I think it's something a farmer is always really proud of, to see their children on the farm and learning. And my children may not choose to farm for a living, but I am very proud to say that they will all know how to do it. Whatever career they have and whatever career they go and do, they'll have respect for farmers and agriculture, and hopefully they'll be able to tell their coworkers the messages of farming.
Mm-hmm. And what it takes to get a crop in the ground, what it takes to take care of it all summer and then get it in the bin. That actually, without knowing, that dovetails beautifully into our question of the week, Jeff. So I appreciate that. So thank you for the segue. This week's question is centered around this idea of what customers, consumers know about agriculture, what they understand. And my question this week for each farmer is, what do you wish every consumer could know about your farm specifically? What's one thing you wish that they would understand more about your farm?
That's a very good question, Lyndsey. I would have to say that I guess a lot of people, I wish that maybe my urban neighbors and friends just really understood a little bit better how much care and concern we put into everything we do, right? Sometimes there's a thought process. I get very frustrated with the job I do in farm politics with some of the regulations that are placed on farmers, and I know the impact that it has on their mental health as far as making them feel vilified or demonized, whether it's a carbon tax or a fertilizer tariff or you name the countless regulations. You know all the challenges that we try to fight for farmers on behalf. But I wish my urban friends and consumers and neighbors understood how much that bothers us, and it really bothers me. It really does bother me personally. Maybe that's why I bring it up a lot. To think that they would maybe perceive that I am wasteful with my fertilizer application, or careless with the environment, or so profitable that I can pay this carbon tax, and why would I dare complain about it? I wish there was just a little bit more better understanding of all those challenges that I guess when you ask in particular that affects my farm, but I know it affects everyone's farm, and it affects their mental health and stress level. And I know I became a farmer when I was a young man because I wanted to do a profession that I was very proud of. And I distinctly remember listening to my mom and talk about how proud she was of her father as a farmer and the good that he did. And that's why I became a farmer and wanted to become a farmer. Sometimes we get away from that with the way the light that is cast upon farmers in a negative way. And I don't know. Does it make sense what I'm saying?
Yes, absolutely. And it's something that I think, especially in the past few years, in dealing with, as you mentioned, some of the policy directives or things that were rolled out, I think we've had this conversation about, just the, when farmers aren't consulted or part of the conversation, or to your point, a policy rolled out that doesn't necessarily, really take into account all that farmers are already doing or thinking about or stressed about or putting attention into. It really doesn't feel like, you're really understood or anyone is coming from a place of wanting to move things forward versus, as you said, sort of finger pointing or that disrespect or that just not recognizing the role. So I think that's very well put. And you understood the assignment, Jeff. So thank you for that.
Yes. Sometimes I think I wish government and everyone could understand just how much they could inspire farmers and agriculture to do what they do and do it well and drive the economy and do good things for the environment and keep shelves full abundantly with food in this country. How much good they could do just by focusing on all the good things that farmers already do and highlighting the contributions agriculture makes. Sometimes I think that there's just so much power there that could be unleashed with being positive towards agriculture as opposed to some things that currently get done.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well said. Let's leave it there. Jeff, thank you. I also hope that Mother Nature is wrong and you get back in the field as soon as you can.
Me too. And I just, all my farmer friends across Ontario and across Canada, get the crop in, get it in safely, don't get hurt. Make sure I always tell people, the most important job we got to do today is go home tonight. So I hope all the farmers are have a good spring.
Wiser words were never spoken there. All right, Jeff, thanks so much. Okay, we're going to quickly hop to a break, and then I will talk to Simon Ellis out of Manitoba right after this.
Want a product that will give you nitrogen all season long? Then you want to try Envita. Envita gets directly into the cells of the plants, and it's easy to apply, foliar or in furrow. Envita provides the flexibility you need for your farm practices. Whether you want to reduce your nitrogen and maintain yield, or maintain your nitrogen and increase yield, Envita fits your farm. Envita SC formulation is OMRI registered. To learn more about Envita, visit azotic.com. That's AZOTIC.com.
Join us for the Canadian Beef Industry Conference, August 19th to 22nd in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan. Spend time networking on the trade show floor, hear from keynote speakers, and take in breakout sessions designed to increase profit, manage your rangeland, and navigate trends. Get up close to advanced techniques and hands-on demos, and kicking it all off is Lamley's Bull event. Proud, sustainable, and innovative, we are beef. Registration is now open. Visit CanadianBeefIndustryConference.com for full details and to register.
Peter Johnson at Wheat Pete, RealAgriculture.com, and what an opportunity! Oh my gosh! You think you can't grow better wheat? You are absolutely wrong. We're going to show you how to strive for those record wheat yields that they get in the UK and in New Zealand. You can grow 150 bushel wheat. I'll show you how.
Catch Wheat Pete's Word every Wednesday on RealAgriculture.com or download the podcast on iTunes or Spotify.
Welcome back to RealAg Radio here on Rural Radio, Channel 147, Sirius XM. I am your host, Lyndsey Smith, and this segment is brought to you by Viatude, the new fungicide for canola and soybeans. Get best-in-class protection from two of the strongest Sclerotinia and white mold actives on the market. It is, of course, the Farmer Rapid Fire, brought to you by Pioneer Seeds Canada, and we head now to Wawanesa, Manitoba, to talk to Simon Ellis. Simon, how are you?
Fantastic. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. It has been a long time since we've got to chat.
It sure has.
Yeah. Tell me about the farm. Catch me up. What do you grow? What's keeping you busy?
Well, we've got most of our wheat in the ground, and actually some of it's even coming up now. Our peas are in the ground, and we're waiting for the ground to dry now. It's been a couple of weeks of rain and 3 inches or something like that we've had now. And so we want to get back at it and I think we're pretty much going to go and get our oats, soybeans, flax, and then we have to decide if we're putting canola in yet or if we need to wait for the ground to warm up a shade more.
Okay, whoa. You're a soybean before canola person?
Oh, absolutely.
Why? I love this. This is fascinating. I think it's a great idea.
It does better in colder temperatures than canola does. I think mostly because of the flea beetle pressure in canola. And the sooner you can have it in, the more yield it builds is kind of what we've been seeing. And, we've seen a few frosts on our soybeans over the years, and it hasn't really bothered them. So as long as it's, good forecast and nothing too crazy, then we'll put them in quick.
That is brilliant. And I have to tell you, for anyone I know who has been either trying this, of course, for Manitoba, a couple years, that's just how it worked out. Soybeans could go in or did go in, and similar stories that, the soybeans did well and so did the canola and maybe avoided the worst of the flea beetles. So perhaps it's a win-win.
Yeah, that's our goal.
Yeah. I'm guessing it doesn't always work out perfectly.
No. A couple of years ago, we planted canola, and it was still after the soybeans, but it was one of those Mays where it was just a really cold May, and we should have waited one more week. And it was we were already at the end of May, but it just sat there, and the flea beetles managed to get a hold of it. So we ended up having to reseed even at that point. So
it's so hard though when you're running out of calendar in May. Like, it's hard.
Well, exactly, and that's the big thing is we decided to plant by calendar, and I think with canola, in my opinion, you really have to look at the ground conditions and the kind of forecast going forward if you want it out of the ground fast and make use of the pesticide on the seed.
Mm-hmm, absolutely. So now rainy, which is not maybe the worst thing, although could have happened a month ago, Mother Nature. But what about temp-wise? Like, what's your soil temp doing right now?
Well, before the rains, in the fields that we were seeding, it was around 10 degrees after the drill had been through it. I haven't checked it since it's been raining. I would imagine we've lost some temperature. But I would think we're kind of 5 to 10 degrees right now. And forecast looks good, so I think it's going to climb pretty quickly here.
Yeah. Okay. That's cool. Anything new for this year? Did you change anything up significantly?
Nothing too crazy. We're trying a new soybean variety. As a seed grower, we get to experiment with those a little bit, and we're trying a new hard red spring wheat variety. So that would be commercially available in about 2 years. So we'll see what it does.
Yeah. Okay. So that's super cool, right? That you get like a sneak peek at some of these things prior.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really cool until the variety doesn't pan out and you have to dump it in the elevator.
That was my question. Does that happen often or just sometimes?
You know what? Not often, but every once in a while a variety just doesn't hit. And whether it's just a geographic thing where a variety doesn't work in our area, and maybe it's better suited to, say, Alberta. But, over the years we've certainly lost a few varieties that we tried initially, and they just didn't pan out. So we get rid of them, and that's the kind of push and pull of the seed industry, I suppose.
Well, and it is a good point that, when we have plant breeders developing varieties, some of them are just better suited for other areas. Like, that's just all there is to it, right? It's a big place, the prairies. Yeah. It's kind of large from one side to the other.
Growers, I think, are the first line of defense. So,
that's right.
We get to try out the variety, and that way, if it doesn't work, we're going to make sure that the general farm population doesn't have that experience, and we can take the fall on that one first, and then let the good ones go.
Yeah. So what's the feedback mechanism there? Like, do you sit down at the table at the end of the year and are like letting the breeder know, or what does that decision process look like on how it went?
Well, we get to look at it versus already established varieties like Brandon and Wheatland and see how it compares agronomically. And we do all of our testing as far as getting the Fusarium graminarium done and take it to the elevator. We do the Canadian Grain Commission harvest sample program. So we get a pretty good feel for what the variety is doing and what the end quality use will look like. And then certainly we'll talk to the breeder to see what their experience was and other seed growers around the country, because maybe we had a bad weather event and that caused some anomalies in the new variety, where somebody in the Red River Valley had a much better experience just because of different weather patterns. So we can utilize our seed grower network as well.
And compare notes. Okay, so this week's question, so maybe this plays into that. So it's sort of predicated on this conversation I had this week about how, one of the challenges we have in making good policy for agriculture is that we still have, of course, this, our customers, our consumers maybe have this romanticized version of what farming is, and it's maybe a little barn and some cows and some chickens, and it's not necessarily true to the the technology and the advancements and the complexity that is a farm. So my question this week is, if you could communicate one thing about your particular farm to consumers, to our customers, what would it be to help them understand what it's like to farm in this day and age?
Well, I think the first thing is making sure that anything we do is going to be the right fit for the farm. So making sure that whatever we do isn't going to affect the soil quality, hurt any of the, riparian areas and the ecological zones around our farm. But we need to use that technologies to help improve those areas and improve yield so we can have more food production on the farm, essentially. So it's a combination of, sound environmental practices so that the farm is going to live on for decades to come and centuries to come, while using technology to our advantage to foster better food production.
Do you think I think that would be a really fascinating conversation to have, because if we think about the average consumer, they own, the latest smartphone and have tablets and now potentially work remotely and just zoom in to calls and whatever. So technology is like an everyday thing for most consumers. But on the farm, sometimes when it comes to food production, we seem to romanticize, weeding by hand and picking potato bugs off into a jar. And I'm not sure why that exists, why that doesn't measure up.
Yeah, and that's a tough bridge to gap. A tough gap to bridge. Oh man, I'm bad at these analogies. My wife gets after me for it anyways. But anyways, I carry on. It's a tough one, because it's romanticized, and the media, is movies and stuff like to show this vision of a farm that's tiny, and there's certainly lots of farms that are that size and small CSA gardens and stuff like that would farm in that regard. But in order to feed and produce food for every level of income and every person across Canada and around the globe, we need to be able to do this effectively and maximize things here so that we can get affordable food for Canadians.
If I do like it when people try to garden, let's say in their backyard or whatever, and they realize how much goes into one tomato plant, and they're like, wow, I am very glad that there are commercial farmers that actually grow at large scale, so you can just go to the grocery store and buy your ingredients and you don't have to spend all those hours.
My sister is raising chickens, and she said those are the most expensive eggs she's ever had.
That's right. Absolutely. And it's a good experience. So there you go. All right, Simon, I'll let you get back to watching the weather, and good luck this eating season. We'll talk again soon. All right, we're going to take a quick break, and I'll be back with more of the Farmer Rapid Fire here, brought to you by Pioneer Seeds Canada, right after this.
Dad, we missed the window for a PGR in our cereals.
Why didn't you add it to the herbicide?
What?
With Manipulator PGR, we can apply as early as one tiller. Just add it to the herbicide, no separate pass.
Don't miss out. Manipulator PGR is proven in wheat, durum, barley, and oats to shorten plants and even out the main stem and tillers. This results in reduced lodging risk, improved harvest efficiency, and increased yield. Talk to your crop protection retailer for more info and to confirm acceptable tank mixes.
Hi, I'm Bernard Tobin, host of the Soybean School on RealAgriculture.com. Throughout the year, on the Soybean School, we'll bring you timely agronomic video content from planting to harvest, from the latest agronomic research to the latest in production technology. Check out our massive video library on YouTube, RealAgriculture.com, or download the audio podcast versions wherever you get your podcasts. The Soybean School is brought to you by BASF and Syngenta Canada.
Welcome back to Real Ag Radio here on this Thursday, May 9th. It is the Farmer Rapid Fire brought to you by Pioneer Seeds Canada. We head now to, well, near a surveillance bush in Saskatchewan. We're talking to Devon Walker. Devon, how are you now?
I'm good, Lyndsey. How are you today?
I'm doing well. Did it rain where you are? That's the key question.
It rained.
That's amazing.
I think we've had more rain in the last week than we did the 9 months prior.
Wow.
We've got, I know last Monday we had a decent shot. It was a small isolated shower that came over top of Lashburn, Saskatchewan here, and got most of us. And then there was a couple drizzly days after that. And then here on Sunday it started raining again and rained all day yesterday. So I haven't checked the rain gauges yet, but it's a good moisture that'll probably get us through seeding here.
Yeah. Now, is it enough that, like, were you ready to roll and you had to stop, or you were waiting for this anyway?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Most folks were just getting going. Some folks had got some crop in already, but most folks were just kind of on the first few days of seeding and getting the kinks worked out, and then all of a sudden we got a stop work order from the man above with the rain, which is okay. It's a welcomed stop work order.
Yeah, that's right. And we're only the first week of May, so it's okay. It's much needed, and there is time. Now, have you changed up the cropping mix for this year all that much, or are you sticking with the tried and trues?
More or less tried and true. Peas, barley, wheat, and canola. We trimmed a little bit of barley off just because the market's tapered off a little bit, so we're trimming that, and then just a little bit of a shortage in pea seed on the side. Sounds like lots. I shouldn't say lots, but sounds like there wasn't a lot kept last year with a good price. So we had ambitions of putting in a little bit more peas, but kind of looked around and went, no, we'll just stick with our normal amount of peas. So,
and what
but other than that, wheat and
peas are they?
Normal. We grow yellow peas here on our farm. Some in our region grow green peas also. I've actually never grown green peas, but the price in green pea markets seem to fluctuate more up and down, and yellow peas seem to be a little more static and stable, and I guess that's more my jam, static and stable. There's
nothing wrong with a little bit of risk management, Devon. There really isn't.
That's true.
Yeah, it's okay.
That's true.
Yeah. So interesting you say that. I spoke earlier this week with Chuck Penner out of Winnipeg, who, of course, with Left Field Commodity Research, they follow the pulse markets very closely, and certainly seems some excitement on the pea side as far as India buying more peas. But as you mentioned, and this is something Chuck mentioned too, it doesn't necessarily mean more acres go in because you may not have seed supplies. So it's a little late.
Seed or rotation. Like we were looking at our rotation, and with the Phantomyces root rot, we're trying to find ground to put peas on, more or less. So this year actually my wife's family retired last year, and we're farming some of their ground, and so that's where our peas are going because they haven't grown peas in several years. So that's a really good candidate for that, and so that kind of helps with how it goes. So, I mean, even if the market dictated we should grow more peas agronomically, I think we're all kind of in loose handcuffs on the acres.
Yeah, for sure. And especially with this advent of rain, that's good, but it could make a Phantomyces way worse. So definitely probably the right call to be prudent on that one for sure. Now, I heard through
I'll take that as a compliment.
Yeah, you're welcome. But I heard, here's the next part that won't maybe be, that you're a cattle rancher of a very small, fluffy kind.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't say I'm a cow rancher. I'm a grain guy who can bucket cows, bucket some oats to cows. Yeah, we have a few fuzzy Highland cows on the farm as just to teach the kids that using cows on the farm, and we've been mainly grain for the last 20 years. So we've got some yard space of grass that's kind of wasted around the yard that I don't want to mow or I can't mow. So we've fenced it all again, and we've got 4 Highland cows and a steer and a bull, and yeah, we're just kind of doing that, and the kids love it. They're enjoying learning about, the whole life cycle stuff. So that's, that's important. We can't lose that. And I don't know, if we put a couple of beef in the freezer over the years and we have a few friends and neighbors stop in to see them, and that checks the boxes, and we'll call it good. Mm-hmm. I think it's a better option than horses for me personally, Lyndsey.
Amen.
So that's going to kind of slightly trying to avoid.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I think you're smart. What do they say about horses? An excellent hedge against wealth. So yes.
So did you just say I was smart?
You know what, Devon?
Where's Chris? You should talk to Chris today and hand out some compliments too.
No. That's not going to happen. I know. Okay. I was hoping the Highland thing would bring you down a peg, but apparently not, because you've turned it into life lessons for your children. And how am I supposed to argue with that?
We haven't. Well, and gates and feeders and things, those aren't free, and oats aren't free, and nothing's free. The cow market is still very much a cow market. From a financial point of view, these are definitely recreation cows. Mm-hmm. There's a reason that the large breeders and big cattle ranches aren't running Highland cows. They're a little smaller than, say, your Angus or large breeds, so that's they're 40% smaller. So that means you have to have 40% more animals walking around. That could be 40% more deaths. That could be 40% more, miscarriages, 40% more calves to pull, ears to tag, mm-hmm. all that in order to, keep the same amount of beef leaving the farm to keep your budget flowing. So mm-hmm. I definitely can see why smaller cows aren't always awesome. And, they're, I don't know, like for my world anyway, they're just, I guess, a designer breed or what have you.
I think there's probably people in the Highlands of Scotland that are like, no, they are incredibly tough and incredibly hardy, and they may not, you're right, they may not be the most efficient, but they'll survive. And sometimes that's all you can ask for.
Well, I think they're too efficient. Like, the joke that I heard was that Highlands can live on a thistle for a week.
Yeah.
Like, they're just really efficient with their feed, but they're just slow to grow.
Yes.
Like, it just takes longer to finish them, too.
Yeah.
So, but the beef seems just as good. And, I mean, I'm no cattle expert, like I already mentioned. I'm no rancher. So, there's probably some Highland people out there grinding their teeth off right now listening.
It's fine.
Anyway, they have their place, and they're just neat, and we're learning as we go, relearning as we go again mm-hmm. here. Like we haven't had cows on our farm for 20 years.
Yeah, and you could have been really silly and got sheep. So there's not much I can say about that. Let's be honest. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Okay, all right. Before we run out of time, although I'm sure we could talk about Highland cattle for a long time, my question this week. So this is what prompted it, and that'll give you some time maybe to collect your thoughts. But I spoke this week with Cam Dahl. He's with the Manitoba Pork, and he's written an op-ed all about sort of, that agriculture is modern. We have technology, and that's a good thing, and that the little red barn on the landscape really works against us, that people think about old MacDonald's farm, not a modern agriculture commercial operation, right? So grain farming, hog farming, whatever it may be. And so I want to know this week, what is one thing about your farm in particular that you wish more of our customers, our consumers knew about your farm in particular?
I think I struggle to just point out my farm. But I think it's the risk load, like whether it's a red barn or the large fancy shed or the big tractor or the little tractor. I think no matter what size of farm you're operating, the risk is there. Like the risk is very real in the sense that like these are large debts. Like the risk is proportional. You know, like a very large farm may look very big and attractive and everything, but like their salary payout is probably equal to the small red barn type farm, or their equipment bills in percentage and proportion. So that's one thing. Even in ag, we get stuck into like small farm, big farm. But I think that and people think, oh, big farm has more profits. Not always. It depends on size and scale. So I think the risk load, the risk to reward equation, I'd really like to. I actually get joy when people ask about that and ask about the financials and things, because you can kind of put it into household terms for folks so that it is comparable and they understand. And I get a lot of, well, why do you do it?
Really good. It's a really good point, and I appreciate that very much. And there you go. You make a good decision. You have yellow peas because of its risk management. And frankly, there's nothing wrong with wanting Highland cows to cut your lawn, because you can eat them.
Oh, or sheep. Or sheep.
You can also eat them. Okay. Devon, thank you so much for joining me on the Rapid Fire. I do appreciate it.
Thank you very much, Lyndsey. Take care.
All right, it's time for a quick break, and I will be back with our Pioneer Seeds Canada rep, John Seliga, right after this.
These days, the Canadian federal government and multinational food companies are investing hundreds of millions to support BMPs on Canadian farms. But here's the thing, nobody knows your operation better than you do. These programs need your feedback on what you want and what you need. The conversation is happening on Facebook Messenger. Do you have 5 to 10 minutes to chat today? Visit getyourvoiceheard.ca. Your feedback matters.
I'm Lyndsey Smith from RealAgriculture.com. Join me Monday nights for The Agronomist, a 1-hour live and interactive show broadcast across YouTube, Facebook, and X. Monday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern, I host expert agronomists from all over the country to give you answers to some of the toughest agronomic questions. Join us live or catch the replay Tuesday morning. That's The Agronomist with me, Lyndsey Smith, Monday nights live at 8 p.m. Eastern. Welcome back to Real Ag Radio. It is time for the Farmer Rapid Fire every Thursday. And every Thursday, we get to speak to a Pioneer Seeds Canada rep. John Seliga joins me now from near London, Ontario. How are you, John?
Very well. Thank you, Lyndsey.
Now, it hasn't been maybe the greatest week for planting progress in the province, but where are we at?
Well, we were definitely behind where we thought we might be in the middle of April. We were anticipating a very early start to the season, and it hasn't turned out to be that way. We've been cooler early on, cooler and wetter, and now we're warmer and wetter. We have recently got a nice little start on some of the lighter ground, and hope is abundant in the countryside.
Hope, and also very large weeds, because as you mentioned, warm, early. We've got some extra heat units. How should farmers be approaching some of these well-advanced weeds when there's no crop on the ground?
Yeah, so there's we've been up against some high winds. Sprayers have had small windows of opportunity between wet ground and the wind situation. But if you're going out to kill weeds this spring in Ontario, you need to be using full rate of your preferred product, and you do not want to hold back. The sooner you can get at them, the better. I have seen the odd field that was probably taken care of earlier than it should have been, unfortunately. And these are the kinds of emotional things that happen in a delayed spring. We start making decisions that we otherwise wouldn't. And but yeah, big weeds, use the full rate of herbicide, try to get at them sooner rather than later.
Now, we are early May, and because the weather doesn't look great, it can make us a bit anxious, but we're still early May. So how are you broaching the subject of patience and waiting till it is really go time?
Yes. Yeah. And certainly in the part of the province where I'm situated, the banana belt, as we like to call it, there's certainly no need to be considering any kind of maturity changes anytime soon. We can easily stick with plan A right through till near the end of the month. And there's a lot of days between now and then. So we're counting on Mother Nature helping us out that way. I think, if you have stretched your limits of maturity, or you were taking some gambles with some products that are longer than you would normally consider, then you should maybe look into maybe swapping those out earlier rather than later. But if you are in your maturity zone, it is fine to continue with that plan right through to the end of the month.
Mm-hmm. We still have time.
We still have time. And I highly, highly recommend that you don't try to rush fields. Good agronomic practices still trump planting date. Planting date's important, but there's a lot of other factors that we need to consider, and we don't want to get the wrong foot forward when we put the planter in the field if the conditions aren't fit.
Mm-hmm, absolutely. Now, you did mention, of course, the weeds are well advanced. The winter wheat crop is as well. How important is scouting your winter wheat crop right now?
Well, there's actually just recently there was a need or a desire to get a bunch of herbicide on the wheat crop, and it has moved so quickly and it's so far advanced. There's actually a lot of acres of winter wheat in our part of the world that just got bypassed for herbicide because it was too late.
Wow.
And so now what we have now is really people scouting for maybe some disease. There's some talk about stripe rust showing up in the Midwest earlier than it typically does, and that's something we want to keep an eye on. Stripe rust can be problematic. It's not a regular disease we see year over year, but when we do see it can create some problems. So keep an eye out. We can use a T2 fungicide anytime now to help control, and being proactive on that is not a bad thing. And then we're not very far from heading, and we could see some early planted wheat heading out by the middle to the third week of May, and then we'll be looking at a T3 fungicide. So
I'll be honest, that just blows my mind a little. It's really early.
It is incredibly early. No, normally we start to see heads popping that last week of May, more into the 1st of June, and so we are well ahead, and it's a big crop. Like it's a beautiful looking crop.
All right. Okay. So stay patient. Calendar date matters, but conditions matter more. So
Exactly.
All right. And let's hope for the best on this forecast. If somebody could tap Mother Nature and let her know, we'd like a little more dryness.
Lyndsey, please make that happen.
Okay. I'm going to work on it. Thanks, John. Thanks so much for joining me on the show today.
Thanks, Lyndsey. Talk to you later.
Well, that does it for another episode of the Farmer Rapid Fire here on RealAg Radio, brought to you by Pioneer Seeds Canada. Thank you to each of my farmers for joining me on the show today. I know it is an incredibly busy time of year, and I really do appreciate the time. I have to say, I guess I'm lucky that it rained in most of Western Canada and in Ontario, and I managed to actually get some time with each of you. So thank you so much. All right, I will be back for the Issues panel tomorrow. Thank you so much for listening here on Rural Radio, Channel 147, Sirius XM. Cheers, everybody.